Today on the Topping Show, a child labels Kamala Harris a liar in a viral video on CNN. Mark Cuban claims that the media is mostly right-leaning. An FBI whistleblower goes viral for warning Americans they need to vote, arm themselves, and have a 3 to 4 months food supply. New York City Mayor Eric Adams is indicted and releases a pre-recorded video about political persecution. George Soros has his purchase of 200 radio stations quickly approved by the FCC by bypassing national security review. Lexus concept car is a coupe with a stick shift and 600 horsepower. Telegram makes changes to their privacy after France arrests the founder, and Supermicro stock nears a 6-month low after a report of a DOJ probe. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency IT security. Heck, I see their founder at least twice a day. I say he's quite handsome and brilliant. He's me, you see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, you can reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, going over to the business part of the podcast, you have Lexus concept car. It is a thing of beauty with a manual transmission, 600 horsepower, and it has 2 doors, as many cars should be by default. Now, this comes to us thanks to EnginePatrol.com, specifically Ian Sawyer, who's a writer over there. And let's take a look at this thing of beauty. And unfortunately, right now, there's only one in existence. But yeah, the face of the vehicle is oddly reminiscent of a couple generations back with the Lexus brand. They had those, well, I would say, almost like an origami grill, which kind of grew on some people. Now, they say that, quote, it has going to be an RC coupe with a 6-speed manual transmission. Well, it hopefully will be as a prototype still. But they say, quote, the internal combustion engine and manual transmission are becoming rarer and rarer these days, but few manufacturers are committed to keeping them alive. Yeah, breaks my heart that GM isn't. Rest in peace to Corvette and the Camaro. Though Cadillac CT4 and CT5E Blackwing are still marvels of engineering, most companies are, unfortunately, only having 2. That's how bad the economy was. As Trump might say, back in the day, all cars had 3 pedals, as they should be by default, but right now, the cuts are so bad, the car companies only have 2 pedals, and automatic transmission is an abomination. He'd probably say something to that effect. But in all seriousness, they say, quote, earlier this year, Toyota announced plans to develop a new lineup of turbocharged combustion engines. Now Lexus is reportedly testing them in 2 prototype vehicles that have us excited for what's to come. They also know that, as revealed in a YouTube channel, Toyota Times, journalists at a press event in Japan were able to ride in a 400 horsepower Lexus IS prototype equipped with a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, though that one did have a 8-speed automatic transmission. Yeah. They see additionally the Toyota Hilux with a 6-speed manual and 2-liter turbo engine producing claimed 300 horsepower was also being tested, which, I mean, that truck's been a thing of legend for decades, especially overseas. It is heartbreaking to think that the only truck you can get in America with a manual transmission is one left. One company goes against the grain. It's good old Toyota Tacoma. And you can also get it in green, which if I won lottery, I would definitely get one of those. 3 pedals and a green truck. That'd be something only I and 18 people would like in terms of being that specific, but yeah, that'd be pretty cool. Now they say, quote, real hindsight, however, came when journalists spotted a new Lexus RS prototype featuring the 2-liter engine that reportedly delivers 600 horsepower paired with a 6-speed manual, according to Lexus enthusiast. Although the car is said to be development for motorsports, the rarity of the manual transmission makes us wonder its potential for production conversion. Given Toyota's recent enthusiasm for manuals in their performance cars, it's not that hard to think it might come to the forefront. There you see the interior of one of those vehicles there, which looks pretty good. I'm a fan of having, manual buttons for certain things. There's nothing more frustrating than trying to get something as rudimentary or nowadays as simple as like heated seats or air conditioning or climate control. I have to go, click 5 buttons in a touchscreen. Just give me one simple real button, make my life a little bit easier. But yeah, that would be really cool. I mean, I almost feel like Toyota's losing money not doing this already. It's one of those instances where, again, they're one of the very few brands really dedicated to the 3rd pedal. I really appreciate it. I mean, you got the GR86. It's a great little coupe. Well, granted, that is a partnership with, you could debate. I mean, it's really just a partnership with Subaru, but, it was it was a Scion FRS before the Toyota 86, and obviously it's known as the Subaru BRZ. That's a partnership, but still, it's got a Toyota badge and it's got their support. But in realistic, you have the Corolla GR, which is amazing. That's got 3 pedals, as they should have by default. Then you have the Supra with the good old 3 pedals, which is really awesome, though granted it's also kind of just OEM'd over in Germany, Amsterdam. I forget the specific plant or location, but it's one of those OEM specific situations where it's not made in Toyota factory. But still, they're dedicated to putting money and resources behind that. And Toyota did actually help get that third pedal for the Supra, where the BMW clone, or I guess reverse that because BMW came first, that still just has automatic transmission. So I mean, Toyota's going out of their way to keep that dream alive, and they even have racing schools. If you buy the top performance, you get like a membership to NASA, and that's really cool. Now, in terms of having a performance and getting more luxury, why not? I'm really surprised. Like, why don't they just take something? Just take the. I know some people hate it, but just take the engine transmission, take the guts of the Corolla GR, and make it a more luxurious version. Give some fancy technology. Maybe give it a little extra, couple pounds of cow leather thrown in there. Redesign it a little bit for the Lexus brand. I mean, just the drivetrain is a great drivetrain. I still think there'd be some people that want to spend a little bit more money for a little extra, perceived luxury quality with the materials, all that kind of stuff, and the styling. Again, it's not as simple as a copy paste, but to me that's what they should do. Now, granted, it's not going to be a volume thing. It's just, unfortunately, most Americans do not care about having manual transmission, though they should. So it's something got to be a big volume thing for Toyota. But thankfully, they're a large enough company making a profit, so you have these type of pet projects that can also argue build brand enthusiasm, and over time you buy their other products that would kind of help that ROI. So I really want it to happen. I mean, Lexus has not had a stick shift for I think over a decade now. It's been quite some time. I'd love for it to happen. I'm a little skeptical in terms of a mass production of that type of thing, but I mean, hopefully. But let me know in the comments. Is this something where if you had, you're looking for a new luxury vehicle, would you entertain a good old Lexus with a stick shift, and then would you actually take it to track? Let me know in the comments, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news: you have Telegram making changes to their privacy. Rest in peace after the France country. They arrested the founder, which is one of the most ironic things to happen in quite some time. I don't want to say, it's one of those things where he has the founder of the company. He has citizenship to many countries, including Russia. I believe he also has it in the UAE as well. And he fled Russia because he was fearful of political persecution. He thought the Kremlin was going to force him to reveal the magic of the Telegram algorithm and basically unencrypt it so they can see whatever they want, therefore defeating all the privacy of the app. So he fled Russia, and ironically, he went to France. He's apparently supposed to meet Macron for whatever they eat, baguettes and cigarettes. I'm pretty sure that's what they eat over there. And yeah, he thought he was going to get dinner with their dictator, and it turned out, no, they actually arrested him, and they forced him to release all the juicy details. So now there's not a semblance of any privacy on what was the iconic Telegram app. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Claire Duffy, who's a writer over at CNN Business, which is somehow in business. I tried to look at all the websites, and interestingly enough, they still have companies that are willing to pay for advertisements, and 18 people that go to the website and check for news. I'm perhaps one of those 18. Now, they say, quote, after CEO's arrest, Telegram says it will now turn some bad actors' data over to law enforcement, which, what they really may, realistically, they're going to give them the keys to the kingdom, so to say. And rest in peace to what used to be an iconic. I mean, I had friends. I mean, just sort of saving money, because it used to be, back in the day, you'd worry about your minutes and talk time for international calls. I know a lot of carriers are becoming more global, but yeah, a lot of my international traveling friends, they love the Telegram app because they really communicate with basically free. You just needed the Wi-Fi, or the Wi-Fi, as Grandpa used to call it. And yeah, not so much if you care about your privacy. Now, specifically, they say, quote, messaging platform Telegram is making some new concessions around safety and user privacy after the arrest of the founder and CEO, Pavel Durov, in France last month. He was arrested and interviewed by French prosecutors over suspected criminal activity on the platform, including, and this is where they really try to use emotional rhetoric to make you sympathetic towards their authoritarianism. They say, including gang transitions and trafficking, as well as alleged failure by the company to hand over data released to investigation. He was later released from the police custody and set a bail at $5.56 million as the probe unfolds. The investigative discussion sparked a discussion. Again, click that subscribe button. I have that theory. When I first started the show, barely any subscribers, and I spoke terribly. Yes, even worse than now. Yet, as I slowly but surely gain subscribers, my speaking aptitudes have improved. Some might argue it's just a modicum of improvement. However, I would argue that nevertheless is an improvement. If you click that button again and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Now, as I was attempting to say, the investigation sparked the debate about free speech and criminal activity online, but the authorities' concerns weren't exactly surprised. The app, which has amassed more than 950 million users, thanks in part to the encrypted technology and promises of end-user privacy, has been years criticized for the popularity among unsavory internet criminals, drug drafters, money launderers, yada, yada, yada. Following the arrest, Telegram said Durov had, quote, nothing to hide, and it was a, quote, absurd to claim that the platform or its owner were responsible for abuse of the platform. 2 weeks after the arrest, Durov acknowledged the app's abrupt increase in user caused growing pains that made it easier for criminals to abuse the platform. Yeah. Only took him, that's kind of weak. It only took him, a couple days for the French to break him. And it's France. That's all I say. Quite concerning to say the least. I'm not saying, even in this picture, he's a tactical turtleneck. I thought he was a man of, grit. But apparently not so much. The French authorities were able to, beat him up pretty quick. Now, in terms of the market share of, how many of those 950 million users are going to continue to use the app, yeah, what do you think? Is it going to drop by 10%, 20%, 30% overnight? I mean, the most value out of the product just evaporated immediately. Because everyone has a modicum of caring about free speech or, protection of privacy. I mean, that was the reason you use the app. So, I mean, I can't but think people are going to pivot to another technology. And great thing about technology is going to be more startups. Hopefully there's going to be even new, better solution by the time, hopefully in the New York minute or two. But yeah, definitely stand for free speech, and we see more and more of these governments going after this. They want to control everything. But yeah, I'm pretty pessimistic in terms of the outlook. But let me know your thoughts are. Do you currently use Telegram? Are you going to completely delete or uninstall the app from your phone and immediately start looking for alternatives? I know Signal is another big alternative that many people appreciate. But I mean, let me know what your thoughts are. And I do apologize if it takes a day or two for me to get back to the comments with work being a little bit hectic the past couple days. But I appreciate your patience, and as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting business news, Supermicro stock nears a 6-month low after word of a possible DOJ probe after they got a little Hindenburg report by the short sellers saying there might be some accounting squirrely things going on here. Now, Supermicro is one of the best known, especially if you work in the data center or you work in IT. It used to be known as a white box. So you have your major manufacturers of, I would say for their platform, you have major server manufacturers like Hewlett-Packard Enterprise, you have Dell Technologies, and then I'd say Lenovo are the 3 largest manufacturers when it comes to traditional companies that make rack-mounted servers, or as my parents say, where the Facebook lives, which is true. And it's one of those instances where if you wanted almost like a Walmart has a great value brand, none of those companies own Supermicro, though if they're prudent, they'd probably buy some of their stock just to hedge their bets, so to say. But there's a great alternative, and the biggest advantage would be less cost. Granted, there's trade-offs, there's less support, but many of the components, quite frankly, they are shared across multiple platforms. But they're busted lately and not going great. Now, let's take a look at their stock really quick here. And as you can see, oh geez, in a day it went down 12%. Let's see, so year to date, they're still up. And none of this is financial advice. Shoot, if I was a financial guru, I'd be, well, I love my Honda Civic SI, but who knows, maybe we get a nice Toyota Corolla GR. I'd probably have another set of wheels is what I'm saying if I was a financial guru like Warren Buffett or something. But nevertheless, not financial advice. Year to date, they're still up pretty good, up 40.97%. But you can see after, what was this? Oh, geez Louise. So they peaked, their 52-week high, $1,229 per share, which is insanely good. I mean, and granted, cliche to say, but they had a big part in the AI boom, because again, you have all these new chips, they gotta be on a server somewhere. And again, if you want, depending on what report you read in terms of reliability, downtime, and ROI, Supermicro is a pretty compelling solution, especially when you're building out massive data centers that require myriad, we're talking truckloads of servers. Because all those chips, all those GPUs, all those cards have to plug into a server at the end of the day. Remember, there's no such thing as a cloud. There's just someone else's computer, or more accurately, someone else's data center. Now, again, past 6 months, geez Louise. Again, not financial advice. Well, a few times I've actually, I'm so glad I'm glad I didn't invest, let's just say that much. Yeah, past 6 months is down 60.74%. Jeez. That is brutal. In the past month alone, it's down 28%. What's the current market cap? Still a pretty penny. Market cap currently today at $23.56 billion. But company's not doing great. Now, this article, thanks to a comes to us thanks to the OG search engine, Yahoo Finance, which, yeah, it's been a while since Yahoo's been relevant, but we'll keep them alive slowly but surely. We probably talked about more about Yahoo on this show than most other shows combined. Pretty low bar, granted, but still, the OG search engine, yeah, still love them a little bit. Now, specifically, they say, quote, Supermicro computer stock plunges on reports of a DOJ probe. Now, this is thanks to by Laura Bratton, who's a writer over there. Actually, I'll just, little stock ticker on the screen there. They say, quote, AI server maker Supermicro computer stumbled 15% yesterday after the Wall Street Journal reported the company is being probed by the U.S. Department of Justice. Ouch. The journal, citing unnamed sources, said the DOJ is investigating the company for potential accounting violations. The issue was first brought to light by the short-selling firm Hindenburg Research, but thanks to the YouTube shorts, I can't help but think it's Heisenberg. I don't know why those two words just keep going back and forth to each other, but nevertheless, Hindenburg Research, which in August reported and accused Supermicro Computer of glaring accounting red flags, as well as undisclosed related party transactions and sanctions and export control failures. AKA shipping to countries U.S. does not like, and you're not allowed to. Now, that name sounds familiar. It should. I mean, Hindenburg Research is credited to helping everyone know that Nikola was a scam. Now, that was an EV manufacturer, well, hydrogen semi-truck manufacturer, where they came to prominence with their scam founder, Noah. I don't even have to say allegedly anymore because he's been charged subsequently, pushed out the company. But they claim that, Nikola, these trucks are going to be great. They also, kind of ripped off the Tesla name by using the first name of Nikola Tesla. But nevertheless, they said, oh yeah, these trucks are great. We have a new proprietary method to get hydrogen in an economic way that's going to be a great ROI for everyone. Because again, when it comes to hydrogen technologies and hydrogen cars, the reason we don't have them, we've had the technology for decades. I mean, I read a book, a book about BMW called Driven. Great book if you're a BMW fan. And in that book, at the end, written around 2000 era, they're talking about using hydrogen in their couple of prototypes. And we've had it for a while. Now, the issue why it will not be adopted unless we have new technology development that comes shortly is the manufacture and distribution of the hydrogen. That's the bottleneck in the technology platform adaptation. But Nikola said, oh yeah, we got a new one that's going to make it cost pennies on basically nothing. And that's why their stock skyrocketed. Now, this research company just did a little investigating and found, oh yeah, it was all smokescreen. They have no proprietary data. It's all junk. And subsequently, they tried to pivot to an EV manufacturer, which, spoiler, is not doing great. So that's how I can recognize that Hindenburg Research, oh yeah, they're the short sellers who had that company bite the dust. Now they say, quote, Supermicro makes the AI server equipped that uses NVIDIA's GPUs, and Wall Street believes it's going to be a major supplier of hardware to Meta, which is the Facebook. The business flourished at the start of 2024 as the tech industry created a slew of AI software, increased power demands, and hence the demand for products like Supermicro's. It's one of the AI stocks that has surged to record levels, and even with the decline, still 57% from last year. It gains earned the company a spot, in the S&P 500 at the beginning of the year, but the stock has fallen from its high of $1,200 per share in mid-March before joining the index, which, I don't know, I would not have signed off on adding that to the S&P 500 because, again, you're supposed to look at historicals, and again, I just don't think they have the justification personally for them to be added to that index. And it'll be interesting to see at the end of the day if they're, what the probe is, what's the conclusion of the probe, and do companies start to decrease their purchases of the product? Again, from a customer perspective, the products are still being shipped and they're still working in the United States. Sounds like they have some accounting issues. Maybe don't, cut them a couple $1 billion purchase orders. But yeah, I think as data centers continue to have more and more demands for AI and people want the best ROI, I still think they're going to be pretty darn successful in the next couple of years. But as always, let me know what your thoughts are because I'll be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the Culture Proud podcast, you have a child labeling Kamala as a liar in a video and going viral on the good old X Twitter. Now, this comes to us thanks to Andy No, he's a famous reporter. And he says, quote, CNN reporter in a classroom, what's the first word that pops into your head when you hear Kamala Harris? And this is one of the shortest clips I'll probably review all year, but it's priceless. About 6 seconds. I guess it was originally reposted by Trump War Room. This already got 1.7 million views and 52,000 likes.
What's the first word that pops into your head when you hear the name Kamala Harris?
Liar.
What's the first word that pops into your head when you hear the name Kamala Harris?
Liar.
as youth might say, based. Another thing you can tell that's very unusual about this classroom, there's not 58 different flags that are not the American flag. Though I'll just point from this angle, again, maybe it's all hidden in the background, there's actually not an American flag. And interestingly enough, there's textbooks, an even rarer thing. Right, I'm an old soul. I love, actually a hardcover copy of books, why I have a whole shelf of them. But I partially digress. This went, viral to at least got, again, 1.7 million views. And one of the first comments actually comes from Andy No, and he has another one where girls ask, girl, what are your thoughts on?
It'd be good for us to have a black woman as president for the first time in history.
Yeah.
But my vote's kind of still on Trump. It'd be good for us.
There you go. Now, granted, the kids can't vote yet. I got 808 views, or likes, sorry. That was from Andy No again. See here. Mary says, quote, again, these are a couple of the top comments. Mary says, quote, they asked the kid a more difficult question than when they asked Kamala Harris. And that got 3.7 thousand likes. You have somebody by the name of the right answer saying, oh, up there, hilarious, but can't we let kids have a childhood? They have their whole lives to be depressed about politics. They have 1.7 thousand likes, which, yeah, politics is pretty depressing. There's not a lot of highlights or good things that pop up in politics these days in terms of, them doing great things. This is for the left and the right, frankly. But, yeah, I suspect being very actively involved in, like, following politics is very similar to, like, cheering for something like the Chicago Bears, like the Dallas Cowboys. Like, don't get me wrong, they have their highlights. They've won a couple games throughout history, but overall, you just tune in and it's just depressing. Then they say, oh, growing up in the Midwest, I was always told the Bears have a great defense and they'll be good next year. That's a joke because, yeah, they are never, kind of like the city of Chicago in terms of economics, politics. Yeah, they won't be good next year. Statistically speaking, they've been terrible for quite some time. I don't see that trend turning around anytime soon. Apologize if I'm speaking a little too fast. Again, I am actively appreciating the comments for the feedback, and I am trying to work on it, believe it or not. Now, I also have someone by the name of Woke Moments saying, quote, that's funny as hell, but why CNN interviewing a child about the election? Getting 4.4 thousand likes, which, yeah, they got a lot of time on their hands, I suspect. Because again, CNN, I mean, if you look at, wind back the clock a couple years, they got a lot of interviews with Biden, a lot of interviews with Obama throughout the years. And then recently, especially past 8 years especially, that spigot has been turned off. So they need some content. They're hungry. Let's see here. Going down more and more. You have Believer in Truth says, quote, smart kid, she lies for a living. The McDonald's lie is the worst. Why would you lie about a job you never had 44 years ago? Why would a woman almost 60 years old lie about a summer job? Getting 873 likes, which, yeah, she wants to appear to be relatable, which she isn't. Which, yeah, is a weird thing to brag about. So not to brag myself, but I did work at Cinemark back in the day. I was a cashier, well, concession sales representative is the fancy title. I think it was on my paycheck. I still have the scars from it. Getting popcorn kernels will hit your arm quite consistently. I also have Edsel Robinson saying, quote, the child is better educated than Kamala. God is good, getting 757 likes. Peter says kids in politics should never be in the same space, getting 528 likes. Which, yeah, I tend to agree. I think good to have conversations at the dinner table so kids can kind of learn the different philosophies and kind of the values that y'all believe in and why you believe in them. But I don't think this is that bombastic. They're not like, yeah, I don't think this is that bad. It's just a school asking them about it. Let me know in the comments if you think this is inappropriate in terms of asking a child their input for this. Let's see here. High Stuff Talk says, I love when kids are asked because they tell the truth, getting 451 likes. True. That being said, I'm sure there's kids in San Francisco where they would immediately say they want to vote for Kamala 7 times over. Let's see here. B. Franklin Spencer says Kamala equals liar. Says Project 2025 lie. National abortion ban lie. Very fine people hoax lie. Will be a dictator lie. Blaming Trump for Afghanistan lie. Racism and division by Trump lie. Never said she would ban fracking lie. Rally goers leaving early lie. I will never go over my plan lie. Police died on January 6th lie. Bloodbath comment lie. Trump's stance on IVF lie. Won't take guns lie. Trump weakened on foreign policy lie. Trump friends with Putin on lie. Trump inciting January 6th lie. No military in combat zones lie. Getting 133 likes. It's quite a few bullet points there. So interesting to see what was one of those viral things of the week. And you have a couple of clips of Trump doing some rallies and just one of the most diverse crowds out there with, was it thousands? Or Trump would probably say millions of people around the streets watching me drive by, and they had the signs, I have the flags, the best hats, and yet I haven't seen a single Kamala hat. Actually, interestingly enough, there's a merchandise sales. He knows how to move product. I haven't seen, in real life, I haven't seen any Kamala products. I've seen online pictures of like their flag apparently. Let me know. This would be fascinating, especially based on geography. Where are you, and have you ever seen a real Kamala Harris like political sign or product, or like a T-shirt or a flag? Would be especially interesting. But yeah, this actually also one of the most interesting things to happen on CNN in the past couple of decades. See here, especially on CNN. Bar's low though. But let me know in the comments your thoughts, because as always, be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have Mark Cuban claiming that majority of the media is right-leaning. The Turner Rump derangement syndrome is real. I'm not sure what kind of world Mark Cuban lives in, but yeah, in terms of the mainstream media, in terms of the volume of media that's out there, can you name more than, especially, I mean, Fox News is kind of right-leaning. I think people have seen through that facade in terms of when you look at the internal workings of the company, their belief systems, their policies. Most of them are pretty left-leaning, and especially after they called Arizona early, that was kind of, I think a lot of people saw the tipping point where they kind of started to see through the veil, so to say, and just the faith in Fox News dropped precipitously, especially after they keep firing all their top talent, especially Tucker Carlson, who is one of, I believe they call him the OG. Now, this actually, of course, is on the good old extra, thanks to the good old libs of TikTok, which she says, quote, Mark Cuban is actually out there claiming that the mainstream media leans right and is right-wing. This is factually false according to the data. The reason Fox has the most watched shows is because they aren't pure trash like MSNBC, CNN, NBC, ABC, etc. Which, I'm actually still surprised that Fox has any viewers these days. Especially in terms, I mean, they sold off the movie studio division. And shoot, in terms of TV shows, they had like 3 good ones throughout the years. Most of them are canceled after season 1. They're so bad. I think the only one that was actually that they can be credited to help create was Lucifer. That TV show ended after, I think, 2 seasons where Netflix bought them out and they revitalized the brand or the show, whatever you want to call it. I mean, their track record of Fox News is probably on par with the Republican Party. So yeah, not great. Now, I was gonna say, I usually preface by saying, what they have to say is infinitely better than what I'm saying. Well, Mark Cuban probably not so much, but go ahead and pull it up here. He's on the CNBC. Wait, what is he wearing? A long sleeve or a turtleneck? A blue turtleneck? Is that? No, really? Come on, he's a billionaire. He can't spend on a nice tactical turtleneck. Really, Mark? A little rudimentary there.
What's the most watched news channel? Who are the most watched and viewed and listened to podcasts? Who are the most watched and listened to or
Is it
viewed?
Fox?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
I mean, it's not close, right? The #1 shows are all Fox. The #1 podcast,
So
lean right.
even in spite of that, she's been able to.
Not in spite of that, in spite of that, yeah. Okay. Meaning the mainstream media is not who you think it is. The mainstream media truly leans right.
Maybe.
What's the most watched news channel?
I can't but wonder how much money is Kamala Harris promising him? Or is Kamala Harris saying, I'm going to politically prosecute all these businesses except you, Mark? Mark, I was going to try to do a pun with Kamala Harris's accent. However, she changed her accent so many times, I'm not sure you could accurately mock her. Because, yeah, I can't but wonder what's she promising him in exchange for shilling for her. I mean, Mark Cuban also said it doesn't matter if Kamala Harris changes her tax plan up to the day of the election. That's how mentally vacuous Mark Cuban is. Really? He doesn't care if she waffles on her tax plan that often? How are you supposed to reliably vote for her? If she changed her plan that often, most people aren't politically active. They're going to remember whatever policy she says at a certain point. So it really is just, I mean, she'll just say anything just to get elected. Now, it didn't go as viral as I thought it would, actually. It got about 190,000 views and 5.5 thousand likes. Here's a fun little infographic, a little bar chart that says party affiliation percentage of all journalists. If you look here, starts in 1971. You had 6.3% being other, 32.5% being independent, 25.7% Republican, 35.5% Democrat. In 1982, that increased to 38.5% Democrat, 18.8% Republican, 39.1% independent, 3.6% other. 1992, it was 44.1% Democrat, 16.4% Republican, 34.4% Independent, 5.1% other. 2002, Democrat went 35.9%, Republicans at 18%, 32.5% coming as independents, and 13.6% as other. 2023, 28.1% Democrat, 7.1% Republican, 50.2% Independent, 14.6% other. In 2022, sorry, that's 2013. 2022, you have 36.4% Democrat, 3.4% Republican, 51.7% Independent, and 8.5% other. Granted, I'm not too surprised to see the independents growing just because the vast amount of ineptitude is politically on the left and the right, and how disappointing Republicans and Democrats have both been throughout the decades. So cannot believe, one of my pet peeves, Republicans still have not repealed the NFA Act or the National Firearms Act of 1934. It's been almost 100 years, and there are some times where they had the House, they had the Senate, and they had the White House. And yet they couldn't repeal that unconstitutional piece of garbage. Really, Republicans? You had the votes, and yet they acquiesced from their duty, and they say they're pro-gun. Which some of them aren't. I do appreciate their work. But, yeah, really, Republicans? They, quite disappointing. Yeah, so Republicans went from 25.7% in 1971 to 3.4%. Yeah. And yet Mark Cuban saying, oh yeah, majority of them are Republican. Yeah, I don't know about that, Mark. I don't know about that. Now, some of the top comments, you also have the first one coming from Libs of TikTok, in which she says, quote, aside from the actual data proving Mark Cuban is incorrect, it's so obvious that this is false according to common sense. Your eyes and your ears, don't believe your lying eyes, Mark Cuban is basically saying, which, yeah, again, especially in terms of the mainstream media, most podcasts, in terms of the volume of podcasts that are out there, are overwhelmingly left-leaning. I mean, think of it. It's just astonishing how mentally vacuous Mark Cuban's statement is. I mean, ABC, NBC, MSNBC, CNN, all the major networks, they're all, not even one of them is moderately in the middle. Most of them are extreme left. Yeah, the cliche thing you hear, he's saying, oh yeah, they're mostly right-leaning. Like, I don't know what kind of world he thinks he lives in. You also have Wall Street Silver saying, quote, Mark Cuban has gone far left. From the point of his view, even radical left wings like MSNBC or CNN might seem to lean right for him. Got 272 likes. There's a TikTok respondent saying, quote, either he believes that or he's just straight up knowingly gaslighting. And 166 likes, which, yeah, I can't but think maybe. Again, I want to know what Kamala Harris is promising, because he's been shilling for her hard. Oh, they really have an AI picture of Kamala Harris with Mark Cuban's face, which is horrifying, though entertaining. And that got 68 likes, which I'll have to put that disclaimer on the YouTube saying, AI did a manipulation of that video. Interestingly enough, the only time, YouTube takes down my videos all the time, so I should always listen on Spotify and Rumble, the best streaming app, bar none. Yeah, some of the few times, and they've taken down my videos a couple times. Yeah, the ones that critique Kamala are ones that they like to delete automatically more often than not. I also have Gunther Eagleman saying, quote, President Trump broke Mark Cuban, getting 277 likes, which, yeah, there's a famous story a little while back where Mark Cuban revealed the first time he met Trump. Apparently, Mark Cuban, I think it was after he sold his first business, Micro Solutions, and which is very similar to Top Technologies. You resell and install enterprise IT and IT services for businesses. Go to toptechnologies.com. They're the best sponsor. Trump would say, this sponsor's the best. Their founder is awesome, handsome, and brilliant. Because that's me. But in all seriousness, he sold Micro Solutions for a few $1 million. It was a very successful business. And apparently he went to the first time to meet Trump at a party, and he was hanging out with some millionaires, and Trump came down from like another part of the party, and he said, hey, welcome to the party. Hey, maybe someday you'll be up there. And apparently Trump was referring to another place at the party where they had all the billionaires hanging out. And apparently that broke Mark Cuban's brain, where he's been hating Trump ever since. And interestingly enough, also trying to copy Trump by having a couple of his own TV shows and brands. And it's a few parallels, and he's been venomously against Donald Trump ever since that moment. A lot of people saying it's Trump derangement syndrome, and yeah, and especially when Mark Cuban is saying how businesses should support Kamala Harris, which I work with many small businesses and even have with myself. I mean, most of it's been past couple years, especially with their policies, their administration has been really rough, and across many industries as well. I don't know even one small business owner who's really cheering for a Kamala Harris presidency. I know many who are praying to get Trump back in office, especially the restaurant industry or restaurant owners and those franchise owners where, again, under the Trump administration, they passed a policy where they helped change the business tax deduction for meals and expenses. So I'll try to keep, I was going to say this ADHD comment, it's kind of parallel. It's an instance where back in the day when Trump was in office, if a business wanted to take a client for a meal, you could tax deduct 100% of the meal. Because again, you're getting food with them, you're talking about business, and you're building rapport and long-term relationships. Now, that has subsequently changed back to just the regular default, which is 50%. So now if you take out a client for business, again, you have to scan the receipt, and it's not tax advice, but in terms of the business costs, you can only tax deduct 50% of the bill. And you also had an issue where years ago, entertainment was also tax deductible if you had customers with you. That's gone completely. So it's been especially hard. And again, there may, in terms of entertainment and restaurant, those are two huge industries that are negatively impacted by those policies. Now, in terms of the comments, let's see if there's one or two more. You have Paul Zupa saying, quote, even Fox leans left, but not as badly as the rest. As for Mark Cuban, he simply lost and shouldn't be taken seriously. He fully indoctrinated into the religion of wokeism. He's a product of being rich, doesn't make one wise. And 54 likes. And again, Mark does some good things. I love Shark Tank. He helps out small entrepreneurs. He does some good things. Unless he's getting cash or some guarantee of like a cabinet position, I can't, especially in the industries he was in before. I can't really comprehend the compelling reason of why he wants to support Kamala Harris. We'll do one or two more comments. America AF says the dumbest billionaire ever to exist, getting 147 likes. Not Jerome Powell. Somebody says Mark Cuban was retarded, getting 833 likes. Oh, geez, this is a terrible picture. American Meme says he's trying really hard to get that cabinet position. It's a horrifying picture of Mark Cuban with Kamala Harris's hair. And one of her suit jackets, pant jackets, whatever you call those things, getting 11 likes. Here's a good infographic. So, anti-woke memes, A+ for marketing. They actually did use a meme or meme, because it's not fancy. He says, what a clown. It says, political leanings of misinformation experts. It is not quite unbiased. Looks like it is, again, I'm going to round here, but it's about 15% very left, 42-ish% fairly left, 28% slightly left, 10% center, 4% slightly right, 0% far right, 0% very right. Which, yeah, Overton window has been dramatically shifted throughout the years. That got 23 likes. So yeah, I can't help but wonder. Do you know? Let me know in the comments. Do you know any small business owner who's really cheering for a Kamala Harris presidency or a continuation of the policies that we've had the past 4 years? Let me know in the comments your thoughts, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Now, going over to the political part of the podcast, you have an FBI whistleblower warning Americans to vote, arm themselves, and stock up with a 3 to 4 month food supply, which, it just sounds like good rules of being American by default. But it went very viral this week on the good old social media. This comes to us thanks to America AF on the good old X-Twitter. When she says, quote, holy shit, an FBI whistleblower urges Americans to vote, arm themselves, and stock up on a 3 to 4 months of food supplies, and pray. And oh my gosh, they already got, and apparently it was originally posted thanks to MJ Truth Ultra. This here got 2.9 million views and 46,000 likes. And as all good men should, this FBI informant did suit up, which is, that might be the one thing that they do properly in Washington, D.C. in politics. They don't do a lot of good or intelligent things, but they do that. So they put a modicum of effort into their job. Some would argue it's a bare minimum, but they do something. I guess by modern standards, I'm actually impressed by these politicians. But not too much further ado.
And everybody in the minority party, they're fearing what Donald Trump would do in the next administration while they sit here and they look at the guy who's been persecuted by the FBI. And everybody in the room understands it. Mr. Allen, do you have comments you wish to make? I'll give you about a minute, minute and a half, and then I want to turn the rest of my time to Mr. Jordan.
This is Allen, is the FBI whistleblower.
Jordan.
Yes, sir. I would just say that I consider the hearing today my last act of service as a public servant for the United States of America. And I'll give you my professional opinion. I was an intel professional for our country for many years, and I would give recommendations, and I'd also look at indications and warnings. So I would offer this to the American people as my warning to them. Since this is a warning to the American people, I say, I personally have no confidence that the FBI will rein in its own conduct. I've been persecuted along with Garrett, Steve and Kyle, and countless other whistleblowers. It is my opinion that the Bureau used reprisal and fear to control the workforce. It has been a seemingly effective tactic. I personally believe that there are no current effective checks and balances against them conducting lawless action with any type of correction in a legitimate time frame. I welcome the work of the IG, but I think any type of lawless action, there's no legitimate time frame to rein them back in. Their ability to overclassify information can allow them to stonewall forever. To the American people, you have a duty as a citizen to vote, and I strongly urge you to do so. It's how you participate in the American experience. I know people have doubts about election integrity, but you must vote. It is your claim. Stake your claim and don't forfeit it willingly. Have your voice heard. My other recommendations are in the natural order. First, vote. The second is the Second Amendment. Arm yourself and know how to defend yourself. Make 3 to 4 friends in your neighborhood and promise to come to each other's mutual aid in times of hardship. And during the Great Depression, people stocked up a pantry. So I think that's a good practice, especially in our economic times, and make sure you have 3 to 4 months of food. And as a person of faith, I'd say pray the rosary, go to the First Friday devotions. That's for everybody, all my brothers and sisters of all faiths, and I know I'm Catholic, and read the gospel of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and live it every day. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for the time.
You know, Mr. Allen, the fact that there are servants like you who have borne up under persecution that a lot of political leaders in this country do not care about is the thing that heartens the American people, and I'm confident the American people will resolve the situation.
Great words to live by. I was going to say, if you can financially do so, I always recommend buying at least one extra thing of food at the good old grocery store, whether it be a can of beans or just a protein bar. Because especially depending on where you live, you have natural disasters that frequently happen. Looking at you, Houston, it's always a good rule of thumb to be prepared, as Boy Scouts used to say when they were the actual Boy Scouts. Now, sorry, again, Pre-Pal got already up to 2.9 million views and 46,000 likes. The first comments coming from Liberty Cerulean, which probably butchering that pronunciation, saying, quote, was this the last decent American patriot at the FBI, or was he trying to goad someone on to the right to doing something stupid so they can use it as an excuse for the media to look the other way and they crack down harder on American citizens? Getting 88 likes, which, I mean, I don't think his goal is to try to lure someone on or egg someone on to do something. He's definitely not really talking about any specific threats, or not really being too bombastic or really getting people in an uproar, so to say. But I mean, I personally don't think that was his intention. You also have America Papa Bear saying, quote, I feel like this is the calm before the storm, getting 41 likes. You also have Providence 76 saying, quote, we really need Donald Trump back in power, getting 999 likes. You also have Tristan Levette saying, quote, you should watch his opening statement before the hearing. I was glad the camera wasn't focused on me. I literally brought tears to my eyes. Got 470 likes. John Wick said, John Wick's Italian cousin, perhaps? Or uncle? Nevertheless, Mr. Don Wick says, quote, mass casualty event incoming to steal the election this time too, question mark, getting 762 likes. Ultra Mega Boss Lady, which is very long but descriptive username, saying, quote, the FBI is no different than the KGB. Unchecked power is what the founders tried to prevent. We're living in 1776 in the making. Getting 601 likes. I'm a little disappointed she did not reference the best book of all time, second only to the Bible, of course, beat 1984 by George Orwell, which, very heartbreaking and a sad book, but nevertheless very accurate, and it's almost a little disappointing and depressing when you find out how modern society is kind of worse than that in many regards. Let's see. Scrolling down more and more, you have Aaron Baker saying, quote, what a wise man, God bless the United States of America. If it is your God-given right to vote, doesn't matter what state you live in, go vote. We don't need a close vote. Run the numbers up so they can't cheat. Getting 241 likes, as well as a GIF of a man shirtless in the middle of the street waving the American flag. Probably not the most prudent place to stand. Also looks like it's raining. He might be in a hurricane. A little disappointed he did not have a bald eagle on his shoulder as well. A little disappointed there. And why is he not driving a Ford pickup truck? But I only partially jest. It got 241 likes. You have Demo Girl saying he said the quiet stuff out loud. May God bless him and keep him safe. Getting 495 likes. Scrolling down more and more. Fat Skinny Tony. Interesting name. Says, quote, Harvest Right Freeze dryers is your friend. All right. Also, if you've been buying ammo by the case for the last 10 years, well, sorry. Or saying if you haven't bought ammo past 10 years, be sorry, getting 29 likes, which, well, shoot, I mean, just the prices alone, I think everyone wishes they bought more ammo back in the day. I mean, prior to COVID pricings, I mean, ammo was so dirt cheap. I remember when I was in college, you get a 1,000-round box of 223, which is most common AR platform caliber. You can get that for like, what was it, $275 for a case of 1,000 rounds. You have a mail-in rebate from the factory for like a $50 or $75 gift card, or like a rebate just cash back to you. It was ridiculous good. And that was brass. That wasn't just steal stuff from Russia. That was full on, you know, brass cased ammo. And now it's like, shoot, what did I pay for the IT event we hosted for Full Auto Friday, or shoot, Full Auto Suppress Carriers is my signature event. I think it was like 56 cents a round. It's gone up dramatically. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many of the folks in the FBI actually believe in the founding fathers and the limitation of governments. Call me a little pessimistic, but I can't help but be concerned that number has dropped precipitously down throughout the years. But let me know, are you surprised by this FBI whistleblower and his warning? What are your thoughts on his advice? Let me know in the comments, because as always, it'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have New York City Mayor Eric Adams is indicted, and he had a pre-recorded statement. Now, he was recently indicted for financial fraud, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of evidence they churn up and how that plays out in the courts. Now, it looks like he had this pre-recorded statement talking about political persecution, and a lot of people saying, well, is this just because he, you know, kind of said the quiet part out loud and chases his political ideals around rampant illegal immigration? Now, without too much further ado, go ahead and bring up his... let's bring up the an earlier chapter in the book, so to say. So this is from End Wokeness, and went viral again this week because of this recent indictment. They say, quote, exactly 1 year ago, Mayor Eric Adams admitted off script that migrants are, quote, destroying New York City. He was just indicted by Biden-Harris. This got 1.3 million views. He didn't suit up as all men should. So he's wearing a button-up and some khaki pants, or some people call it kahiki pants. Trying to be fancy.
Support. And let me tell you something, New Yorkers. Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this. I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City. Destroy New York City. We're getting 10,000 migrants a month.
And the irony. For decades, they've said that we're a sanctuary city. We would send as many as you want, they said, for decades, without thinking about the calculation of resource allocation and not having the infrastructure to support that, from schoolrooms to emergency services, to police, to fire, to medics. It's, yeah, kind of asked for this. No, I take it back. They didn't kind of ask for it. They literally did ask for this situation.
One time we were just getting Venezuela. Now we're getting Ecuador. Now we're getting Russian-speaking coming through Mexico. Now we're getting Western Africa. Now we're getting people from all over the globe have made their minds up that they're going to come through the southern part of the border and come into New York City. And everyone is saying it's New York City's problem. Every community in this city is going to be impacted. We had a $12 billion deficit that we're going to have to cut. Every service in this city is going to be impacted. All of us. And so I say to you, as I turn it over to you, this is some of the most educated, some of the most knowledgeable, probably more of my commissioners and deputy commissioners and chiefs live in this community. So as you asked me a question about migrants, tell me what role you played. How many of you organized to stop what they're doing to us? How many of you were part of the movement to say, we're seeing what this mayor is trying to do, and they're destroying New York City? It's going to come to your neighborhoods. All of us are going to be impacted by this. I said it last year when we had 15,000. And I'm telling you now, with 110,000, the city we knew we're about to lose. And we're all in this together, all of us. Staten Island is saying, send them out to Manhattan. Manhattan is saying, send them out to Queens. Queens is saying, send them out to Brooklyn. No, it's not the game we can play. Open the floor up.
Yeah. And apparently he became Republican. A lot of people joking that because, yeah, a lot of people they went talk about going against the grain because for decades we've heard about sanctuary cities from the main Democrat cities saying come one, come all, legal or otherwise, security be damned, resource allocation be damned, and yeah, New York is finally starting to feel the strain. Unlike the southern states, have been feeling that strain for decades. And yeah, he went on this unscripted, speech and got a lot of people irate in terms of this specific post. One of the top comments comes from Elon Musk saying, quote, he was told to shut up by the Democrat Party after this, getting 9.2 thousand likes. Yeah. FastTracked84 says, sounds like they're coming after him for speaking out against the establishment, getting 239 likes. Paul Zupa says, quote, that's what happens when you dare criticize the invasion of illegals. We knew this was coming, getting 221 likes. Plenty of memes, a little disappointing they did not, in fact, use a meme to respond, but they did say, quote, anyone who goes against the establishment machine will be crushed, getting 109 likes. Now, now this is his recent video that he just put out. This comes to us thanks to Gunther Eagleman saying, quote, this is getting interesting. Mayor Eric Adams pre-recorded a press release detailing how federal government has made him into a target after he brought light to the immigration crisis. This is what happens when you speak out against the border czar Kamala Harris. And he did do one thing, right? He did suit up as all men should, and he even got a tie. An American flag behind him. Although I'm a little disappointed there's no musket, AR-15, or eagle behind him as well. But still, a moderately appropriate display of America. Could use more, obviously, but still.
My fellow New Yorkers, it is now my belief that the federal government intends to charge me with crimes. If so, these charges will be entirely false, based on lies. But they would not be surprising. I always knew that if I stood my ground for all of you, that I would be a target. And a target I became. For months, leaks and rumors have been aimed at me in an attempt to undermine my credibility and paint me as guilty. Just this past week, they searched the home of our new police commissioner, looking for documents from 20 years ago, just 1 week after he joined my administration. Enough. I will fight these injustices with every ounce of my strength and my spirit.
Maybe they'll change the law to go after him as well, like they did for Trump in New York. Now, this didn't go as far as I thought it would. It got about 276,000 views and 13,000 likes. The first one is coming from Cash Loren. It says, quote, when communists are in power, you need to know which crime is legal. Don't complain about illegal immigration, or you'll find out New York has a brand. Getting 76 likes, which, yeah, it was funny. A couple years ago, he actually bombastically said, hey, New York has a brand, and he said, like, Nebraska didn't, which, where would you rather live? Yeah, there's no comparison. I would much rather live in Nebraska than New York. Scrolling down to the top comments, you have Just a Name, which, interesting profile name, says, quote, this is your chance, Adams. Tell the people of New York to wake up from the Democrats, getting 162 likes. Wuhan Don't Eat Me Swan, funny name, says, quote, Eric should flip the script on this coup and endorse Donald Trump immediately, getting 276 likes, which, that would be interesting. And nothing's out of the realm of possibility these days. Politics has got a lot of curveballs. If you were to endorse Trump, that'd be pretty interesting. I'm not... Actually, what? He's claiming he's feeling the heat of the political prosecution, the persecution, the lawfare. What are those Las Vegas odds on him endorsing Trump? Not zero. It's not zero. He's scrolling down more and more. This can't be a real quote. David Sullivan says, hope he stitches. And it's a picture of him. It says, after migrants getting 20 likes. The Scoop says, oh, isn't it cute how Democrats suddenly discover principles when it starts hurting them? Eric Adams, welcome to the club of inconvenient truths. Enjoy the stay, getting 44 likes. Let's see here. Someone by the name of Bella says, Kamala's Project 2025, citizenship for 20 million illegals, ban gas-powered cars, replace police with social workers, ban fracking, transgender surgeries for minors, taxpayer-funded reparations, hack the U.S. Supreme Court, government and big tech censorship, cashless bail for violent criminals, federal takeover of all elections, use tax dollars to fund abortions, enforce racist affirmative action, mandate vaccines, require government approval to buy a gun. Getting 8 likes. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Those are most of the top comments here. What do you think the odds are? Do you think Eric will actually endorse Donald Trump? I mean, it's not a 0% chance, but let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news: you have Democrats introducing a bill to stack the Supreme Court. After, for one time in decades, you actually have more constitutionalists on the Supreme Court than not. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Sarah Insgler, who's a person around the link X Twitter, saying, quote, "Not a single quote in the entire piece from anyone who opposed the court packing or any mention of Biden's own SCOTUS commission filled with liberal law professors that threw cold water on this idea." Which, yeah, to give Biden a modicum of credit, he has not been as extreme as some of the leftists we've seen lately, including Kamala Harris wanting to ban and confiscate AR-15s and other guns, which Biden famously said in the 2020 convention, or primary rather, that you can't do that with an executive order. It's unconstitutional. And again, the current ruling is you cannot ban guns in common usage. Granted, they don't care about they really don't care about what the law says these days. They'll just make it say something else. And many historical figures have said, yeah, you don't want to do this. Also, never forget, you actually have someone sitting on the Supreme Court who cannot define a woman. I'll never forget when Biden, now he has a lot more discredits and credits, but he chose someone based on their race and gender when he was choosing Supreme Court nominees, not their qualifications, thereby decreasing the number of qualified applicants, because he said, I'm only going to take a couple resumes, not all the resumes. Well, Miss Jackson Brown, when she's being questioned, they asked her to define what a woman is, and she famously said, "I'm not a biologist." That mentally vacuous person now sits on the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, this also got 60 likes on the good old X Twitter now. Go ahead now. It's behind a paywall, but you can sign up with a free email address for the Washington Post. Not that I recommend it. You just hear my wonderful voice, and I'll read some of it. As a joke there. It's an okay voice, maybe. Now, this is originally, again, from Justin Juvenile and Toby Raji, who are writers at the Washington Post. They say, quote, "Sweeping bill to overhaul the Supreme Court would add 6 justices. The legislation by Senator Ron Wyden, a Democrat from Oregon, is one of the most ambitious efforts to remake the Supreme Court following controversies over rulings and ethics." They quote, "A sweeping bill introduced by a Democrat senator earlier this week on Wednesday would greatly increase the size of the Supreme Court, make it harder for the justices to overturn laws, require justices to undergo audits, and remove roadblocks for high court nominations." Legislation by, again, Senator Ron Wyden, Democrat from Oregon, is one of the most ambitious proposals to make the high court as if it had suffered a sharp decline in public approval after the contentious and decisions ethics scandals in recent years. It has little chance of passing in the moment, since Republicans have generally opposed efforts to overhaul the court. I'm going to stop that quote right there. Never forget, there are a lot of rhinos in office, pejoratively known as Republicans in name only. So there might be a lot of Republicans, but in terms of how they vote, yeah, I would not be too optimistic for them to actually guard the Bill of Rights of the Constitution these days. They've flipped many times. Again, there are some good ones, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I wouldn't count on it. And they say, quote, "Wyden, who chairs the Senate Finance Committee, said the goal of the bill is to restore public confidence in the battered institution." Well, yeah. I'm not worried about them being popular. I'm worried about them ruling on cases that align with the Founding Fathers' ideals. Though, perhaps that's just me. He said he hopes it restores parts of their brand, and the whole package is not embraced, even if the whole package isn't embraced by lawmakers. He says, quote, "It's not an atomic secret that the process for selecting justices is politicized. We've got this thoroughly politicized process resulting in a Supreme Court that has now frequently issued sweeping rulings to overturn laws and upend precedents. We are proposed a way to restore the balance of the three branches of government," which is, oh, that's hilarious. All the lawfare of all the branches of government, the Democrats these days, yeah, now they want balance. Well, yeah. I was trying to think of a funny, like, old-timey swear, pejorative term. Yeah, They quote, "The bill's most significant measure would increase the number of justices to 15 over the next 12 years. Yeah, The staggered format over 2 or 3 administrations aimed at diminishing the chance that one political party would pack the courts with nominees." Yeah, another trend you see. If they're not winning, they change the rules so that they can win. For decades, leftists had a majority on the Supreme Court. Did Republicans do anything? No. They just let it stand. And again, you have their nominations. But now, of course, that there is more constitutionalists on the Supreme Court, now they want to flip everything. They want to change the whole game because they're losing. Like children. They say, quote, the bill would also require a ruling of 2/3 of the High Court and the Circuit Court of Appeals rather than a simple majority to overturn laws passed by Congress. Biden said that the current court has been too quick to discard precedent and curtail rights by narrow majorities. The legislation would also require the Supreme Court nominees to be automatically scheduled for a vote in the Senate if their nominations have been lingered in the committee for 180 days. Bill measures would prevent senators from blocking a president's nominee by refusing to hold a vote for them, which, again, both sides have done that. He also says, let's scroll down more and more. Talking about that. Another provision in Biden's bill to expand the number of federal justice circuits from 13 to 15, adding more than 100 district court judges and 60 appellate level judges. Wow. Now, the only thing I think is moderately interesting that I actually would agree with says Supreme Court justices must report income. Dividends, that's about it I'm interested in. Property sales gifts. The bill would also bolster financial checks and disclosures to transparencies, require IRS to initiate audit, tax nominees, blah, blah, blah. Another measure would allow 2/3 of a vote to force of the court to force a fellow justice to recuse from a case. Yeah, that'd be a great way to, that's an even better way to get a supermajority. See, I don't think there's much substance to this here. They'd also established a term limit as well. So now it can only be serving for 18 years as opposed to a lifetime appointment. Which again, this had served them for decades, and yet, because of their bad planning, I mean, they decided, oh yeah, now they want limits. Yeah, they're not doing this for you and I. They're doing this for themselves or self-serving reasons. I mean, one of the best examples of selfishness, which ironically hurt the leftist folks, shot themselves in the foot. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was so egotistical, so narcissistic and keeping a hold on her power. She decided, well, I'm not going to step down when Obama was in office. I'm going to keep this until the final dying days. And Ruth Bader Ginsburg expired when Trump was in office, which led to him appointing someone who actually believes in the Constitution, and a constitutionalist, as we call them, and that helped constitutionalists have a majority the first time of Supreme Court in my lifetime. Again, she chose not to step down when Obama was in office. They could have done that. Strategically, they should have. Some people allegedly were telling her, like, pressuring her, you should do this now. Then later they bullied another guy to get off the court. But, yeah, she just wanted to stay, she wanted to hold on to power for that long. Let's see. And of course, they also wanted to add an amendment that would prohibit blanket immunity for presidents, following that recent ruling, another ruling they don't like. I also say that, also reform. Yeah, let's see if there's any other substance in this. Let's see. Then focusing on the term limits. And yeah, I don't believe they're doing it. Now, they say there's not much chance of this passing. Which, again, I'm skeptical because, honestly, I can count on my hand how many times politicians have done the right thing for our country, on the left and the right. So I'm pretty skeptical. And again, this would be revolutionary for our country. Hopefully that's not it's just a metaphor. But yeah, with the importance of the Supreme Court, and again, I would also say they've acquiesced from a couple of cases I think they should have taken up, to be frank. But yeah, I'm not a fan of this because it will never end. They'll just keep packing it and packing it and packing it. Before you know it, you have 100 people on the Supreme Court. It's not a remote possibility. Never forget the age-old saying, a slippery slope, it's not theory, it's a fact. But again, they say it's a very low odds it'll actually pass. I'm actually really surprised to get more views on good old X Twitter. Got about 60 likes from Sarah Isgler, who's when I first stumbled upon it, that was the first person I saw who actually posted about it. And hopefully this, again, they're saying it's a small odds it'll actually pass, and it has to go through the House. And I understand there's many steps that would take for this actually to pass, but definitely quite concerning. Let me know in the comments though, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have George Soros' purchase of conservative news was fast-tracked by the FCC. Process that would take apparently over a year. Well, it just happened darn near immediately, and yeah, not too surprised. Now this is brought to us thanks to Mario Nawal, who's a writer or contributor over at X Twitter, in which he says, quote, FCC fast-tracked Soros' bid to dominate the airwaves. Last week, the FCC adopted an order to approve his purchase of more than 200 radio stations in 40 markets just weeks before the presidential election. The stations reach more than 165 million Americans, and staff at the FCC are concerned the move is politically motivated. commission's 3 Democrats voted for the move, while 2 Republicans voted against it. Under the current FCC rulings, foreign company ownership of U.S. radio stations are not supposed to exceed 25%. Soros took in foreign investment to make this bid and then filed a request for the commission to make an exception to the usual review process. The decision to fast-track the approval process bypassed a national security review, which could have taken up to a year to complete. And there you can see George Soros with the World Economic Forum picture behind him. And this one went pretty viral. Got 17.7 million views and 29,000 likes, which, consolidation of telecommunications in that regard is always concerning. And there are some people who still listen to the radio, believe it or not. Now, one of the first comments comes from the Hodge twins saying, quote, "Then you get Tim Walz meeting with the young Soros too. We know they are trying to steal the election," unquote. And that got only, 11,000 likes. Now you have other comments coming from Bill Dubs. He says, quote, "The FCC are concerned this move is politically motivated because it is. The FCC is blatantly allowing this to be expedited for political reasons. George Soros, Alexander Soros, shouldn't be allowed to influence programming or advertising. Ownership is one thing," unquote. Now that got 53,000 views and 2,000 likes. Here I have Jay Kerner saying, quote, "Yet another of many examples of our corrupt and treasonous Democratic government in bed with our enemies and adversaries. Soros is rapidly foaming at the mouth, anti-U.S. More than once, he has publicly stated his intentions to destroy the U.S. He, quote, opened Society Foundation as an oxymoron and dedicated to globalist agendas that destroy America. It's the exact opposite of an open society. George Soros has been the number 1 or number 2 top funding source for Democrat politicians over many years. That says it all. Democrats support the destruction of America as a constitutional republic. Soros has given hundreds of millions of dollars to finance riots by terrorist groups such as BLM and Antifa. He handpicked Marxists and corrupt DAs and AGs and financed their campaigns. Some of these DAs are behind false felonies manufactured against Trump. This is what the Democratic Party is, a corrupt, treasonous organization dedicated to dismantling our republic," unquote. Now that got 7.3 thousand likes, and fact-checked, mainly, I would say true, in terms of, look at a lot of the district attorneys, look at places like San Francisco especially, there's a reason they don't prosecute crime, and he's the one who is overwhelmingly funding a lot of their elections, a lot of their campaigns. It is quite concerning, to say the least. Other top comments comes from Stella, which she says, quote, "Funny how Soros is the only one who aims to be able to fast-track anything in the United States," getting 7.5 thousand likes. State Luddy says, quote, "Totally illegal. Trump must win and declare Soros a terrorist, just like other countries have," getting 8.2 thousand likes. Clay Thompson says, quote, "Whenever someone refers to an election interference, Soros should be at the forefront of every discussion," getting 4,000 likes. Yeah, see, anyone sticking up for George down here? Another creepy picture. I was going to say another creepy picture of him, but let's be honest, they're pretty much all creepy. I'll say Jamie Olsen having a picture of Soviet Union. It says Kamala News Network, getting 118 likes. We in it for the Congress. Interesting profile name. Or if I pronounce it properly, Weinroth for Congress. All right. This congressional action is required to block FCC for allowing Soros to acquire another 200-plus radio license. They cannot seem to understand the monopoly they are creating, getting 1.6 thousand likes. Which, yeah, quite concerning. There's any contrarian statements here? I don't think so, but scroll more and more. Misty Morning says the FCC needs to be reviewed since they just took a lot of money and didn't follow the process. The FCC was bought by Soros. That should be considered a crime, getting 835 likes. I think the only question is how quickly do they all immediately change their programming and change their messaging on those news networks? I can't but think it won't be overnight, but what, 36 hours, 48 hours? It's quite concerning. Here, another one has an infographic for Soros-linked progressive prosecutors, and there's fortunately there's a lot of them in the great state, or some would argue the great country of Texas, which a lot of them on the East Coast, especially. And then yeah, pretty much was it all all the Bay Area, San Francisco. Interestingly enough, as always, it seems like even Soros. I mean, the Dakotas are just forgotten. There's not a single person there. Say Montana, or Wyoming, or Nebraska, an underrated state. But yeah, I mean, again, a process that could normally take up to a year. I mean, I'm not surprised at all. It got immediately fast-tracked for George. especially with all the connections and all the resources that he has these days. But let me know in the comments, do you think, I mean, it sounds like it's all approved. I don't think it's going to be magically blocked at the final hour, or that anyone's going to really intervene. But let me know in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the business blunder of the day, you have a dog pet food being recalled, saying, quote, "do not touch." Now this comes just thanks to Penn Live, Patriot News, and they say, quote, "Pennsylvania-based pet food company issues do not touch recall." There you can see a cute little puppy bowl, although interestingly enough, it's just filled with water. They say, quote, "Pennsylvania-based dog food company has issued a nationwide recall for a number of its products. These products have been tested positive for Salmonella and Listeria, prompting the company to voluntarily take these products off the shelves. According to the press release, the United States Food and Drug Administration answers, interesting name, it's called Answers Pet Food, which is located in Fleetwood, Berks County, is withdrawing its 4-pound detailed beef formula for dogs, half-gallon carton, its 4-pound pet food straight beef formula for dogs, half-gallon carton, and its 4-pound pet food straight chicken formula for dogs, half-gallon carton, for sale. The release explains how this recall is done, quote, "out of an abundance of caution after samples tested by the administration came back positive for the aforementioned bacteria. The FDA has additionally stated that, quote, as the time of this publishing of this report, no illnesses associated with the sale of these products have been confirmed. However, both pets that eat the food and the humans that handle it may fall ill from the contact. As such, the words of the recall release strongly advise you to, quote, do not touch these products, as you should expect them to be contaminated. According to the release, symptoms in dogs and humans include diarrhea, vomiting, especially detrimental for those who are extremely young, extremely old, as well as pregnant women. Let's see. Now, in terms of the actual specifics, if you want to check the, make sure your specific bag is being recalled, they say, quote, the products in question have a best by or expiration dates of May 6, 2026, January 31st, 2026, January 2nd, 2026, and March 11, 2026. Lot codes include BUBD, May 6, 2026, BUBD, Jan 31st, 2025, BUBD, Jan 2nd, and March 11, 2026. Now, the company also says, quote, if consumers have any of these lots of products in their possession and declare a desire refund, please submit a receipt and a picture of the product to info@answerspetfood.com. Again, want to try to get a refund for product, reach out to info@answerspetfood.com, and as well as have information on where you purchased the product as well. So, again, especially in the United States, a lot of us love our pets. We do everything for them, and I mean, this is one of the few things where, in terms of, you're not too worried if you have a toy that degrades too quickly, or a tennis ball just doesn't look as fancy after a couple times usage. But when you have an instance where this is quite literally the thing that you're feeding your puppy or dog, and it could possibly have negative effects and even possibly take their life, that is definitely the worst thing could possibly happen from a food company. So I gotta say, Answers Company, you are certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you everyone for taking the time to tune in. Again, trying to get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So if you click that button, I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, or comment is a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take the time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.